Nina.
What's up, Nino?
Hey, sorry about that. I was catching up with Pred, you know?
Good shit. That is a worthwhile conversation. How can I help?
Well, we ran courts yesterday. Fucking
I heard, yeah.
some guy selling trading cards. Got what his name is.
Yeah, it's cool, huh? Seth.
Seth, yeah, Seth. He made $250,000 in an hour and a half.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He deserves it. He's been working on that for months and months and months.
I know, it's fucking dope.
That is, I got my card made. I have it in my pockets right now. It's very cool.
Oh, let's go. If you have, like, if your brain starts freezing up, you can only have 2 scraps items in your pocket. Otherwise, it fucks your head up. I don't know if you know that.
I'm not a prolific collector, but I will keep that in mind.
Yeah. Like, I think, and that even includes, like, the little pouches, too, possibly.
All right. I'll make sure to let people know if they express symptoms.
So, a thing that is starting to come to light. So, I'm gonna just shoot straight, right? Like, you know, I'm gonna give you the tea, but keep this part of the tea to yourself because it's a little touchy. Wyatt and MOPC, there's drama there.
Yeah, I've heard, yeah.
What? Oh shit. Okay, I didn't even know. I only just learned about this. What did you hear first?
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't heard anything about what's going on now, but Cloak, I really like Cloak. I'm gonna be real. If Cloak was awake at a more preferable time zone, I would be down to get Cloak like in our gang. You know, like I really like Cloak. I think she's a very.
I like Cloak too. Yeah.
One morning I was meant to go to sleep and I woke up to grab MOPC materials, and Cloak was down, and we sat and had a 2-hour car ride where I heard about all of the drama going on at that point in time. So when I heard like 2 days ago that MOPC was having drama, keys were taken, I was like, hey, I guess it's still good. I don't really know anything other than it's like a transitional period, and like Cloak, for example, has no keys anymore, and she's like, maybe not the face, but she runs that shit. You know, that's her thing, from my understanding.
I don't trust Wyatt.
I've never met Wyatt. I don't know anything about Wyatt except for what I've seen. I feel like Wyatt has done a lot of great things and been a backbone of a lot of things, but I feel like as soon as things started tipping in not necessarily his favor, he kind of went on strike and ruined it for everybody. And I'm not saying that someone has to suffer through it, but like, I wouldn't do that, me personally. You know,
so
like, I would just...
I'll give you context because I'm of the same opinion. On this matter, I don't necessarily trust him. And I'm explaining this to you because I think you're the most, like, Kevin's going to be around, but you're going to see and hear things more than Kevin is, right? Because he comes in when he needs to.
I mean, he's out of touch with all this shit, you know?
Yes.
Exactly.
I was approached, first off, this is going to make... Okay. There is... I don't know if you've ever met... What's her name? Tweety?
I've met Tweety. Yeah, I know her very well. She worked with me for a long, long time. And I know that she was the second in command, and she hasn't been around for months.
Well, what happened was... she made... if she worked for the lumber union, made a bunch of sales, right? And like, as with everybody else, when you sell something, you then got to transfer those proceeds back to the lumber union account, right? And what happened after that was she got sick, right? And was not able to transfer some money. And by the time she got back from being sick, she apparently had a bounty on her head and her name smeared across the city over having stolen money or some shit. And now 3 months later, I bring her back and that's still like an issue, right? Now,
yo, Floyd, take the car. I'm gonna be on the phone. I don't want to yell in you guys' ears for 20 minutes.
Oh.
Continue.
So I do think that at some level Tweety is liable, but I think there's also a hyper overreaction for someone that was claiming they was sick, right? Like, to me, it's kind of like, listen, if someone's like fucking like out for weeks because they're sick, like, don't hold that shit against them, right? That makes me feel a certain way. right?
I agree. I'm gonna be real. I know a tiny bit more context about Tweety. Tweety had man, are you familiar with Officer Crystal Clear? You know her well?
Yes.
Similar, you know what I mean? Like their strange schedule, you know, they're here a lot, and that wears on a person.
Yeah.
Tweety is very similar to Miss Clear. So, you know, time off because they're sick only makes sense because Tweety would do like 18-hour days every day. And it wasn't because of like, man, I have so much fun in the city. Woohoo! It was like, that was just how it was. So if she was sick, I would believe it from what I know. But, you know, again, could be, you know, a lie. I can't speak for her.
Yeah. And so I was a bit 50-50. I think they both made mistakes. However, I can rationalize Tweety in that if you're coming back and you've got a bounty over your head, everyone should know you're sick, right? Like, and your name is tarnished because you haven't been around. That's kind of shit. And so if she didn't pay Wyatt back as a consequence of that and wanted an apology, I'm not going to hold that really against her. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, now, the only reason I bring that context up is this started popping off again like a week and a half ago, where between her and Wyatt. Now, fast forward, I'm now hearing from Wyatt, like really pressing me, are we moving Mopec over? Blah, 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 blah. And he now tells me that apparently he speaks to me and he says that Mopec has been pretty much scamming the county. And he told me that they're buying material at $13, right? Getting it subsidized from the state, right? And then selling the material for $8. So in other words, they're pocketing $5, or they're subsidizing $5 of those dollars. And because they're getting the materials themselves, they're making that extra $5, you know, profit. And that they're only selling it to themselves, and it's screwing other mechanic shops, and those mechanic shops are pissed. And I'm like, but I'm friends with all the mechanic shops. I don't think he knows that. I know you would tell me. Tony Corleone is my fucking brother. I have good relations like with the people on Elgin. So I tell him to give me the sheet because I'm like, is this tracked? And he's like, it's not tracked anywhere, like originally says. And then eventually he says, oh yeah, there's the Mopec sheet. I look at it and everybody is getting the same quantity. So now I'm like, you're telling me one thing that sounds dramatic, but the sheet says otherwise, right?
Like, listen, I can't speak for maybe they're doing some under the table and profiting, but I mean, again, you know, fair game, right? Don't get caught, whatever. But I know for a fact that they sell to people. Like, I've gone and picked up there with from the spot, and Hydra's been there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe there's like one business that maybe doesn't get targeted, but all of the people that are approved like get the mats.
I'm seeing the hubcap. I'm looking at the sheet right now. The hubcap, Extra Mile Auto, Milton's Mod, Snake Pit, Street Monks, My Man's Motors. So I'm like, who's not getting it? Who are the complaints? Like, in other words, I'm hearing some like dramatic shit where like I'm being led to believe like Cleo's some like evil fucking like evil bitch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, which is I'm like, huh? Like, I just don't believe that. You know what I mean? You know? Like
Nino, if you want like an honest to God, I don't know if like you're like, you know, clued in with day-to-day operations, this type of shit. If they were pocketing all these materials extra, they physically couldn't use them on anything. Like, these materials would just be rotting. They would be pocketing them into the void, right? Like, they're not running a business that requires materials other than the lumber co, right? But if they were just, if Cleo and her goons were pocketing 50,000 materials a week, like, you can't use that many.
I think the claim is that they're making $5 per mat extra for their sanitation business. But like, I don't know if I give a fuck about that because everyone's eating. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And who the fuck is going to do sanitation?
Yeah, if that's the worst of it, these people are paying $5 more to be a consistent supply of materials, which is what the subsidies are for in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, spend money to keep the economy alive. So, like, if that's the worst of it, hey, whatever.
Yes. The other thing that I've been hearing recently is people are upset with our car upgrade parts. There's a lot of like our prices, and I'm like,
Right.
I forgot who told me this, but I'm like, Tony Corleone is tapped into the racers. Remedy is tapped into the racers. Remedy is very close to me. You think they like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who is crying? It sounds like random people that might have been actually scamming, and now the price is like more public, that people are not being able to scam. That's my impression. But the reason I bring this up to you, Minx, is I will say that that I wanted to get a second opinion on our buy and sell price on materials. And
on like materials, like recyclables?
Yeah, on our website. Yeah.
Right.
So I altered it. I think we were buying at 11 and selling at 10. I moved it to 8 and 9, I think, or something. But because they've just been sitting there.
I mean,
but
makes sense. I almost exclusively buy at 8. Like, as soon as Moped became a thing, I kind of pretty much how I do it is I find the Sunny workers and I say, listen, any amount, any day, as long as I'm awake, I will pay 8 per, no questions. And that type of a business for a Sunny worker is like they call me and I buy it. And on occasion, there's some people that I'll give 9, where like maybe I need it more, or maybe it's like, you know, my head manager Christian, he's like, I do 9. I was like, all right, fine, whatever, you know, because the pennies don't really matter. But 8 and 9 is my buy price. I would never buy for 10, like not ever.
So right now it says Court Center is buying at 8, and we're now going to be selling at 9. That seems like right, no?
Yeah, I mean that seems right.
Yeah.
Any lower than that is like ludicrous, you know. Like I've never heard of someone buying for 7 in our timeline, you know.
Yeah. Days. I think I will say that there are certain pockets of people that spend their existence crying. And I know that it becomes a problem with not just this, but I know Corolla had to deal with that for a little bit, where like, you know, everyone's got their friends, right? But there are people that live on misery, right? And will take small issues and make them worse and put that depression onto others.
No, 100%.
And I think
everywhere, and especially in like small little bubbles where people live like, you know, undisturbed by everybody around them, and then something changes and they just mobilize themselves against like a $1 per material is not make or break. Like, it really doesn't mean anything. Maybe like way back when, right? 8 months ago when it was fucked up to get pennies. But I mean, nowadays, man, like I don't care about money. I care about it in the sense that I need it to do things. But like, if I really need something, I'll just pay the extra per. Like, I'll tip people extra. Like, I'm not. If you told me that I'm MOPEX now 9 per and that's it, I'd be like, okay. Like, if you told me it was 10 per and you were upping the price to make Sunny workers eat better, I'd be like, all right, okay. Like, it doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think in like the grand scheme of things, right? In the grand scheme of things, I think really what this conversation was about is that, hey, heads up, there might be some drama around Mopec. I don't really believe the stories, but we might need to keep an eye on our prices and if people are complaining about it. I haven't heard it yet, and quite frankly, complaints don't mean shit to me unless someone like actually brings it up to us like directly, because you know, we're not mind readers, right? And you know, I'm not a babysitter either. I don't think any of us are. But I mean, I think
the way I see it is like I've raised the noodle booth's price a bunch of times, and every time we've done it, we keep our eyes and ears peeled for people complaining, right? Because that's when you know. But if one person says, "Man, that's expensive," out of 100 after I've raised the price, it's a success. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
that's just how it is. Like, if one person said it out of 100, like, hey, okay, cry about it. You know, like, is what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're doing this to grub money, right? Like, I always see it as if my like reason for doing something like this is fine.
Yeah.
If someone complains about it, right? Like, it's not as if Mr. Chavez wants an extra 10 per material in his pockets. Like, we're doing this to make it work, whatever the cost. So,
right.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So here's my plan with Mopec. We're going to have another meeting over the weekend with Cleo and Seven, which is Mopec is going to operate out of Quartz. They're going to have access to materials out of the bins, and they can continue selling to Quartz as Mopec. Like, they will still be the Mopec reps, right? But it's all going to run through our system. The idea is that if you're a mechanic shop and you're a sales rep, like a MOPEC, like rep in the mechanic shop, your account will be able to buy material from Quartz with the reduction, because you're going to have a tag that's going to auto like coupon. You know what I mean?
Yep. And then it'll be able to be fulfilled by whoever's there, not just
exactly.
7 and Cleo.
And then 7 and Cleo can also continue to sell material to us as a MOPEC supplier, right? So on the, like, that's how the accounts are going to be labeled, but they'll still be our MOPEC folks. Are like, they can run the meetings, they can help set up bringing the mechanic people in. Like, I want to empower them more, right? And effectively,
good.
We're cutting Wyatt out, but he wants out. You know what I mean? But I also, like, you know, I'm letting you know this because this could turn into shit, because it already sounds like it's manufactured drama over literally nothing, right?
All I know is, right, from my perspective, Cloak and 7 are outstanding people. Cloak and 7, I mean, 7 I've only interacted with like a handful of times, but
yeah,
Cloak is the exact type of person that I see as like in the mindset that I have, like the same, like, a part of the Venn diagram. You know what I mean? There's that overlap where she hits all the boxes that I think are integral to doing shit in the city. So
agreed.
In my eyes, Cloak can do no wrong as long as it benefits all of the things that I care about or I think are necessary. Like, anything else on top of that, I don't give a fuck. If any of it is true, because her like overarching goals align with what, you know, are essential for progress and things to work. Like, valuing people is the most important thing, and their time. Otherwise, nothing else matters.
Yeah. And there's certainly possibility that there's more to this, but in lieu of not having that information, I can't function off feelings. You know what I mean? Like,
all, like, back to Tweety.
Yeah.
All I know about Tweety is that in the time before she left, she was having a rough time. She actually left us, like, Big Dog Noodles, on bad terms. She kind of had a crash out, and basically said that the new way that we were running the business was never going to work, and that it was a dumb idea, ruining everything. But the new way that we were running the business was when I basically paid triple for vegetables and I paid nearly triple for worker pay. And I was like, we are going to run this as a no profit to make it work. It was those type of decisions that she didn't like. So, like, the new age Big Dog Noodles begun with Tweety leaving for whatever reasons they were. But yeah, like, that was my last discussion with her. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was also around the time that the Lumber Co. was closing.
He's also running around.
Was going to close, like,
on
for
stream.
that prolonged period where it's like we're done.
It's
over
ADHD.
Christmas,
you got to press
they were
things.
Complaining about I think it was the blueprints becoming like public domain. You know, all of the easy to come by blueprints were public domain, and they were not happy about that because it took away everything they worked for.
I got him off. Max, the amount of times I had to get him off the ledge is incredible, right? So, you know, this isn't. I'm not trying to turn this into a fuck Wyatt thing. This is like a context thing, right? I think lumber is just difficult, right? I think it can rot.
No, it is. It is.
It can rot your mind in terms of how the rest of the city's moving, right? I mean, think about it. You're out in the forest. You're like fucking stuck in a warehouse, like fucking producing something, right? And all you're seeing all day is spreadsheets and numbers. And the thing is, the rest of the city doesn't operate like that. It operates on a very loosey-goosey, what do I get today? This is what I got. How do I flip it? And you have to, like, hand feed people expectation. Long time ago, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but let's say a long time ago, there was a certain area of business, right, that someone had complete control of. And I came in to help my son with that business because I was bored. And I was told I would never tap that market. I took the entire market over and I started selling things at a higher price for a reduced profit and made profit through volume. And I had so many millions of dollars between me and 2 other people in that 3 months that I had to sit back and say, the same thing is but those lessons aren't understood by a lot of businesses. Example. Yes, there was blueprints. Yes, that means there's more people. But that's more people who look at it and say, fuck this, right? If you have the lumber, if you have the people, if you have the mechanisms, you're always going to be able to outplay your market. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't understand why they were pressed by all that, because it's like, it's more accessible so more people can try, but ultimately you have the infrastructure and the know-how and the control. Like,
yes.
it didn't stop them from doing anything. It just made them question. It just started adding questions. But it's like, no one is being stopped from running a competitive big dog noodle business, like competing with it, and yet we're still and even if people start going crazy for a week, I'm not bothered, because it's good to have competition, and we can always try hard. Like, nothing's. I can go crazy with that shit if I needed to.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, I don't know if you're around after tsunami, but
No, I will
if you could take like a once over on our prices, adjust them if you think necessary. I reduced some of the volumes, but doing a once over would be good.
I'll do it. I got time. Our war may be over the weekend, so I can return to a more. Yeah.
Oh, that's the first time it ended right away.